Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast is part of a Phantom edition. This audio podcast is part of a Vertex, as part of a Vertex Roulet. This audio podcast is part of a Lobostics Machina, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Lobostics production. In around 2000, between 2013 and 2016, between 2013 2016, some important works had had been sort of had sort of originated had originated and co-developed had originated and co-developed between several collaborators and between several collaborators and between 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 an academic institution in the Scotland region and a youth club in the Scotland region, and also a pediatric or pediatrics or children's hospital based in the Midlands region of the United Kingdom, and the 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 peer reviewed works had had been developed. Peer reviewed works developed and formally published within a peer reviewed sort of scientific journal. However, as part of this audio podcast, as part of this audio podcast, or as part of this audio podcast, and in regard to sort of in around 2022 in 2022, a research poster presentation had been put forward for presentation at the Royal College of Pediatric and Child Health, Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, sort of some sort of conference that had taken place in around 2022. And this the research poster presentation and the peer reviewed works had focused on original works in regard to investigating and sort of looking at investigating and looking at coping in young people with chronic kidney disease (CKD), and the research poster presentation was headed as a retrospective overview. So the aims of the investigation was where this qualitative investigation was to identify coping strategies in two cohorts of young people aged between 12 years and 18 years. In one cohort, the young people involved young people involved and part young people involved and participated had chronic kidney disease in the severity between stages CKD stages through CKD stages 4 and 5 and in a second cohort, young people involved were young people young people involved also included a healthy cohort. That is to say, listeners, that the cohort of young people involved were those that did not include young people with in the healthy cohort, for example, that had that had been, for example, diagnosed with any particular conditions, and or particular specifically and or specifically chronic kidney disease. So the research a research question was in a research question in around this was what coping what coping strategies do young people adapt to enable them to cope. So to begin with a little bit of introduction to this peer review works and this research poster presentation from 2022. So chronic kidney disease in young people impacts on educational and personal development, and many psychosocial complications continue into adult life, which reduces the probability or the chances of leading successful work and or social life. Clinical advances allow young people, or have allowed young people to carry out modified forms uh, c- uh, to to um, to um, to to carry out modified forms of treatments, for example, of treatments, for example, of treatments that fall within the remit in regard to renal replacement therapy, or renal replacement therapy in the home in their homes, in their homes, including peritoneal dialysis, for example, nocturnal hemodialysis. And in the cases of the severe forms of chronic kidney disease, stages 4 and 5, CKD stages 4 and 5, renal replacement therapy often necessitates the development of specific coping strategies. Hemodialysis, for example, often challenges young people's coping strategies and requires continual appraisal of these strategies in times of duress. Coping with CKD also means living with the risk a risk of living with the risk of where young people, for example, who have been transplanted, means living with the risk of, for example, transplant rejection, and other clinical complications. Now, in regard to this works a little bit in regard in a little bit on the theoretical framework before going into the methodology and looking at sort of the ethics aspects, etc. So the theoretical basis for this investigation involved what is referred in literature as a phenomenological approach, where the investigators essentially sought to understand coping strategies in young people, and to begin from a perspective free from hypotheses or preconceptions. Phenomenological methodology are particularly effective to help bring forth experiences and real perspectives from individuals, thus challenging assumptions. Phenomenological investigations are relating to young people with CKD and other conditions have also been carried out by works from authors in 2007, 2012, and 2015. Utilizing an interpretive basis to phenomenological research also allowed investigators to inform and support or challenge policy and action. In regards to the methodology now, so the investigation collected qualitative data from two cohorts during semi-structured interviews. Young people with CKD in cohort one were identified by a pediatric nephrology clinical nurse who later acted as a point of contact for participants. And before participants attending appointments, parents and guardians were also contacted and provided with an introductory letter, information sheet, and a consent form asking for permission for dependents to participate. Young healthy people in cohort two, in the second cohort, had received a written parental consent, had received written parental consent and were recruited and approached by a youth club lead, and where over a 1 month duration, where in between the two cohorts over a 1 month duration, and then contacted to confirm to further confirm intention to participate. All participants were informed of aims and objectives of the investigation, and that interview data would be anonymized. In around the ethics interview guide and analysis approach. So, ethical approval for interviewing young people in cohort one was given by the National Research Ethics Service in the United Kingdom, which was in the United Kingdom, and where the National Research Ethics Service National Research Ethics Service had was based where the particular National Research Ethics Service was approached, and where ethics had been granted from a southwest region in the United Kingdom, and the division in around research and development at the pediatric and children's hospital based in the Midlands had granted ethics in around this sort of in around at the same sort of time. And then ethical approval for cohort two, participants comprising of the healthy young people had been approved, where ethics had been approved in and from the academic institution based in the Scotland region. The interview guide in around this works now a little bit in regard to as on the basis of the interview guide. The interview guide was developed from previous published literature in around 2000 from 2000 around 2012, and included questions on living and coping, family and friends, plus coping and planning. Um, and, um, and the analysis, as part of the analysis and the approach, a thematic analysis was implemented since it provides a flexible and useful analysis tool which can potentially provide can provide sort of a rich and detailed yet complex account of data. In regard to the themes and findings, and for the purpose of this audio podcast, listeners, an overview of the just an overview in as part of the analysis. Uh, there in around the themes and the findings and part of the analysis, there were several themes and findings. So number one, anticipating a challenging scenario. So one participant or participants had said, for example, had said to find out everything before anticipating a challenging scenario. I like going for a and where another participant said, I like going for a long walk. A long walk. This helps me anticipate a challenging scenario. And then another participant said, if I couldn't do something, I'd probably just try a different way of doing it. And then if I still couldn't do it, I just ask someone to help me. And then in regard to a second theme, a second theme close on close relationships. So probably just my parents really, probably just my parents really, and then another where one participant informs, and then a second participant informs. um, uh, I often like call them around here, and where the participant was referring to specialist nursing staff within the hospital. And then another participant says, I talk to my mother or my nan, referring to their grandmother. And another participant says, informs, and yeah, I normally talk to my mum, my mum or my mother about it, or sometimes my father or my dad. And then another participant informs close friends, sister and brother. And then another participant says my mum, and another participant says another participant says it says in regard to a hospital staff, in regard to a hospital a member of staff, and said, she is like my she's like my she's like best friends, sorry, she's like best friends with the receptionist. And where this participant the participant had a particular learning disability, and so their parent or guardian had responded on their behalf. Another theme was in regard to it was in regard to coping strategies. So one participant said one participant informs lying down. A second participant informs computers. Another participant said sleep. Another participant says where one young person said, yeah, I don't tend to get annoyed at stuff. I just accept that I can't do it, and I just ask someone for help. And then another participant says sometimes if I am bad enough, I would just go to sleep and then feel better when I wake up. Another theme uh, is had been in regard to in regard to demonstrating resilience. So one young person said, if it is a problem at school, I'll go and see the teachers there, and then and then uh, and then uh, whilst another highlighted a very important point, and said, still got to do got to do got to do their, where a participant had referred to their homework, for example. So they said still got to do it, and and at the same time take appropriate treatments, where this participant had a this participant was one of the participants here was a healthcare service user. And then additionally, where the participant said, because you're not you're not ill enough to say I can't do it, but you are well enough to be able to, but you're not well enough, sorry, where the participant additionally says, but you're not well enough, or they were not well enough to be able to do their homework properly. Another theme in regard to this was on physical activity. So participants said, informed, I'm not great at sport, but I enjoy doing it. And another said, I'm not that much of a sporty person. And another comment was, and this was on behalf of the young person whose parent or guardian well, whose parent or guardian had 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 informed on behalf of the young person, who had a particular learning disability in addition to CKD. uh, where the parent or guardian informed, she's done abseiling, canoeing, everything, and 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 then another comment was, another comment by my participant was, being active is important. One young person said, I just play football with friends and stuff. And another comment was, I think any activities can sort of take my mind off it, where the young person was referring, or had been referring to health related issues. Another participant said, form football and running, and um, another participant said, I like swimming as well, but I can't go swimming. And then another theme now, in regard to decision making. So one young person said, I can usually talk to my mates. Another mentioned my parents about most things. Another participant said, depending on the type of decision to be made. One said, probably just my parents really, and a group of 3 friends. Another participant said, we are in the process of getting getting her moved to a special needs school because there's just no understanding on her learning disability side of things, on the on learning disability side of things, on the on in on where in on renal failure. So where the participant's mother, participant's parent or guardian had responded based on the young person, with CKD and learning disability. In regard to another theme now, looking at pastimes, So one young person from cohort two, said, attending the youth club allows me to change my group of friends, and this is quite important because this helps gain more perspectives. One young person said attending the youth club helps to communicate with someone when making decisions, and when something is difficult. And another participant said and mentioned on pastimes young people on pastimes young people from cohort one had varied comments, including I like kind of drawing and reading. I like model building. Actually, so for example, the participant said, the participant had mentioned model building in regard to astronomy, and another participant said football and FIFA, and another participant said, I like playing football. I like doing lots of sports and stuff. And another participant said, I did like running, but I can't do it now. Another participant said so another participant had said that, uh, when it's sunny and the kids come round, we've got a trampoline in the back garden. So where the participant's parent or guardian had responded on behalf of the young person with a learning disability and CKD. And uh, uh, and another participant had said, I like playing football. So now, in regard to a theme to do with peer pressure. So as for cohort two, young people from CKD cohort did not really report experience of peer pressure. All young people reported having a sort of having reported reporting having a tight group of friends they can talk to and enjoy time with. For example, I can use again where participant says I can usually talk to my mates, and another participant's probably just my parents really and a group of three friends. And another participant says, and talk to the to talk to one of the talk to a nurse or a consultant, and or just talk to my or just talk to where another participant says, or just talk to my mother. In regard to relaxation and relief, relief. So one young participant said the youth club as a place where young people are able to relax and relieve any tensions. And then another participant says that the youth club is where young people are very much welcome, and emphasizing with our direct situation and circumstances. one young person said, if I think of a story, and I if I think of a story and I write it down, just write whatever comes out. It usually it usually helps me. Another participant says to relax young people to relax a young people also said, I usually try and listen to some music, lying down and lying down and listening to music. And another participant said, being calm and just lying down, and also counting to 10, counting to 10, or breathing. And another participant where again the parent or the guardian on behalf of the participant with CKD and learning disability has said, she is independent. She is independent, so she quite happily just go off and play in her room. And 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 Now looking at the theme, a theme in regard to stress triggers. So exams are a cause or a stress. Exams are a cause of stress, cause a trigger for stresses. And Another comment included arguing with my mother a lot, or my mum a lot. And People telling and Another participant saying and informing people telling me what to do. And The young people here indicated that there were a variety of causes of stress. One participant identified that if I have difficulty doing certain tasks, for example, homework, some home chores, I find that this can cause me stress. And relating to clinical scenario, one young person said, "Well, if my creatinine goes up, it can be kind of like a stress, kind of like a stress kind of stressful then can be kind of stressful then. I was like in hospital." So another participant says, I was like in hospital a load of time, so I missed loads of education. And one participant explained, I think mixing so that where this participant, where the parent or the guardian on behalf of on behalf of the child of the participant with CKD and a full and learning disability has said, I think mixing with her learning disabilities as well, she does have time of school, and she's in a mainstream school at present, and sometimes she's aware of different things. She's not aware of the full she's not aware of the full consequences. And then another participant says, I've missed quite a bit of school. So when I first got diagnosed, I missed nearly all of year 3. And Another participant said this young person elaborated, I missed days and weeks with my illness coming into hospital, and just that builds up, because then I had my GCSEs, where the participant was referring to their 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 exams in their examinations or exams as part of their secondary school education. And finally, now looking at our theme in regard to worst case scenario. So a number of participants in both cohorts spoke escaping from a situation when it became too extreme, for example. And one participant said, for example, be the big man and walk away. Another participant said, I just try and distract myself, I suppose. And one said, I just leave the situation. And the young healthy people talked about removing themselves from the situation. However, many of the young people in cohort in cohort one in cohort one use strategies to emotionally remove themselves. As examples, so one participant says, I often like call them around here, referring to specialist nursing staff on and within the hospital. And Another participant said, I just forget it and just forget it and just sort of where the participant sort of a participant had thought that they would just say scream. They would just sort of scream, for example. And Another participant said, I manage well in difficult situations, but then when it does build up, I get upset about it. So now, in regard to in regard to conclusion, and then implications for practice. So for young people with CKD, coping strategies can be impaired by normal daily living activities. This in turn can reduce physical activity, enjoyment of close friendships, contentment with family, and performance in school or work. If young people with CKD have support to adapt more positive coping strategies, this may also enable a smoother transition from pediatric renal care to adult renal services, where they are required to become more autonomous. Prospective investigations should thus adapt a similar qualitative methodology approach, but seek broader opportunities to encourage greater participation from this population. In regard to and now as part of the implications for practice, so the investigation highlights some of the insights and experiences of young people with CKD. The findings could allow professionals in pediatric nephrology to develop a guideline to complement clinical practice and strengthen coping strategies for young people with CKD. Prospective investigations on coping should focus on the perceptions of coping from parents. That draws this audio podcast to a close. On social media. There will be a list of the sort of citations that are as part of this sort of works as part of this works, where listeners are more than welcome to identify works within the literature and within the evidence from the evidence base. That draws again this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast as part of a Phantom edition. This audio podcast as part of a Vertex Roulet. This audio podcast as part of a Lobostics Machina, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Lobostics production.